Through the calendars, date stelae, monumental inscriptions, regnal lists, annals, and timekeeping systems from the ancient world all the way to today, there is a hidden calendar embedded into the structure of reality. Unbroken, perfect, found in the writings of our predecessors, mentioned by writers thousands of years ago. Every 138 years it brings changes to our world, edits, resets, and then disguises these changes under the guise of natural disasters. The Phoenix phenomenon causes mud floods, resets, mass vanishings, edits of history altering the trajectory of social and political events, introduces new materials, new translations to older text, strange phenomena. A small window of time in the month of May every 138 years when the veil between our world and somewhere else is rent open and there is an exchange of materials. At Archaix.com and the Archaix YouTube channel, you will find innumerous examples and data sets showing you that this strange overseer protocol has totally forged the unfolding of historical events and will return in May of 2040. Our world is not what you think. All right, let's get that audio check done. I believe my audio is probably pretty good. I've been messing with the settings, getting things in order. All right. Sounds great. Thank you, Code Red, and everybody else. Hello, Crystal. I believe I just sent you an email if you're the Crystal that just signed up for Cypher. Let's see. All right. This is going to be a video that's going to remind you about a lot of the things that we've talked about and discussed in Archaix and many of the Archaix presentations. This is a video that's going to piece things together from multiple different presentations. All right, Crystal, I see you. I was going to do this video later, but you guys know that in the last 2 weeks, there's been a major reveal that $21 trillion of our tax money is now admitted to be used in underground facilities, whether the information is true or not, whether the reveal or the soft disclosure is real or not. Just the fact that it came into the field and that so many people in social media have had their attention drawn to it, it's time to do this video. So I've had a lot of this video already put together in the past. You guys know that I keep multiple drives, and on these drives, I have several copies at different locations. And I have many video presentations that are like this. They're ready to go. They're just ready to go. It's easy because of my I'm very skillful at organizing and collating a tremendous amount of data, and it's so easy for me to put presentations together when the need arises. Well, the need arises now because we're less than 15 years away from basically time zero when all these changes are going to occur. So we're going to be talking about the ancient world today and what they did to prepare for the exact same event that we're facing in 14.9 years. So we're going to be talking about the technologies that exist today that make underground facilities possible. We're going to be showing hundreds of photos. This isn't anything theoretical. We are not talking about, you guys understand, 15 years ago, when the internet was just getting started and all these items were labeled as conspiracy theory. They're not conspiracy theory anymore. They are absolute conspiracy fact. The reason I'm saying that is because everything I'm disclosing in this video is from the public record. There is no top secret data in this video, and yet a lot of it you've never seen or heard of before. So we're going to be talking about how the ancient legends actually tell us exactly what's going to happen about 22 years from now, after 2046, the Nemesis X Object. I'm going to give you a timeline, a basic timeline of what to expect before 2040. Also, the underground bases. I'm going to show you pictures of the bunkers of the elite, the rich and the famous. They're making bunkers too. So I have some announcements before I start. But real quick before I show my errant ad sponsor for this video, we have 10 questions. And I need the listener to understand that all 10 questions will be met to your satisfaction by the end of this presentation. The first question is, did we have the engineering capabilities 4,300 years ago to go underground? Did we have the engineering capacity back then? Question number one. Question number two, did we have a reason to go underground 4,300 years ago? Question number three, do we have evidence that we actually went underground 4,300 years ago? Question number four, do we have evidence that such an event was even anticipated 4,300 years ago? Question number five, does this event fit within any historically documented cycle? It was 4,300 years ago. Does it fit within a cycle? That's question number five. Question number six, do we have the engineering capabilities to go underground today? When I say go underground, I'm talking about spending 20 to 25 years in a sustainable environment underground before resurfacing. Do we have that capability today? That's question number seven. Excuse me, that was question number six. Question number seven, is there evidence that we are building underground facilities today? That's question number seven. Question number eight, are we today fast approaching one of these cyclical events? Question number eight. Now, question number nine, do the builders have exit strategies in place to safely and quietly remove the breakaway society from the surface to their underworld facilities? This would have to be a logistical genius plan in order to remove people from the surface without everybody on the surface panicking. That's question number nine. Do the builders have exit strategies in place to safely and quietly remove the breakaway society from the surface to their underworld facilities? And question number 10, is there evidence that the builders are maintaining currently right now socio-political programs for those of us that are on the surface that ensures that the builders will return about 20 years from now? They will return to a weakened, debilitated, post-cataclysm population when they emerge from their underground facilities. That's question number 10. Are there socio-political programs in place today to do us injury on the surface so we can't come together, so our development is retarded, so that we are unable to maintain any type of infrastructure that will be a threat to them when they open their vaults and they come back to the surface? Probably first with armored columns, because they've taken the military has taken underground a tremendous amount of hardware. Those are the 10 questions. Those 10 questions will be answered in this video. All right. Let's get to it. I need to move something real quick since I already got to these questions. The last thing we'll do is The last thing in this video is we're going to reread those questions, and you're going to say in the comment section if we have satisfied each question. You know how I do it. All right. So before I get to my errand ad, I believe today is the 25th. You have 5 more days if you're going to join Cypher, because then we're going to shut the door and it's going to stay shut all the way to the Super Bowl. This is to preserve the integrity of the operations. What we're doing, we're sharing sensitive information. Everybody in the group is actually downloading the real Cypher software and using it. It has been open sourced, but it's open source within the group. Let's see. In the next day or so, I'll be doing a tutorial for those. A lot of people are interested in sports predictions, others like NFL, but I'm going to do a very, very comprehensive tutorial in the next couple of days for those in the Cypher group on how to use the software for personal and professional business predictions. That's what it was originally designed for. So that's Cypher. You got 5 more days before we have to lock the door. Then in the description box, my new book, it's taken off. It's taken off. Most of y'all have read Awaken the Immortal Within. Some of you have listened to the full audio version on my channel, Awaken the Immortal Within, read by Antonakos, who is the voice of Batman in the actual Batman movies. But Michael Antonakos read my book, Awaken the Immortal Within. It's on my channel. But if you want to read the new, it's 3 times bigger, almost 4 times bigger, Reawaken the Immortal Within. The link is in the description box. Archaix for Kids, the children's nursery rhymes and stories. It's 1,048 pages. The link is also in the description box. Also, I'm getting a lot more requests for Chronicon. Guys, Chronicon's available in full. You don't have to wait for the paperbacks. It takes my publisher a long time to release those. And he's not going to publish Chronicon because as a PDF, it's 1,055 pages, but it would be closer to 1,500 pages if he published it in paper. So he's publishing Chronicon, the pre-flood world, which covers the first 3,000 years of recorded human history. He's still not going to be done with that for another couple of months. So Reawaken the Immortal Within is available as a PDF download. As soon as you hit the link, you download it. You don't have to do any waiting. Chronicon is 1,055 pages, chronological history of the world, assimilating the Phoenix, Nemesis X, Dark Satellite, Mayan long count, all the different 41 different ancient and modern calendars. Also cataloging the future. You can read 2037, 2039, 2040, 2042. You can read what's going to happen, quoting Mother Shipton, Nostradamus, quoting all my research in calendrical isometrics, cross-calendrical parallels, the palindromic sequencing. It's all in there. Chronicon is massive, but the link is in the description box for that. Also, in the past couple of days, I did a 2-hour podcast with the Veritas Project. That's probably one of the largest audiences that I have ever done a podcast for. But that is the Veritas Project. I just did a 2-hour podcast with them. I don't even have a link for it. I don't even know. Somebody else told me they listened to it. I don't have a link for it right now, so I will get to it. Do you remember the tarot reader who told me back in January, right after I released my 2025 predictions report, which we will soon be revisiting, but because so much has happened. But the tarot reader had done a reading on me and told me that there was going to be a shakeup in the Archaix circle there, and there was going to be some personal, things going on in my life, and that somebody very close to me, man, it was just things were going to happen, and we were going to go our separate ways. She nailed it. She will be back on my channel on Sunday. I don't think we're going to be doing tarot readings. I think we're going to be talking more about members of the Patriot Pacification Program and how they seem to be resurfacing on YouTube. They're coming back after a 2 or 3 hiatus. After a lot of people have, that. After a while, the intelligence agencies, they pull their agents back because the public all knows they're full of shit. Then they turn around 2 or 3 years later, they kind of ease them back into the spotlight, and that's what's going on right now. So, in Archaix, we're on top of it. And then I know Kevin, we're going to do that video on the X-Men. Kevin's coming back to my channel as well. So we're going to be talking about the prophetic stuff on the X-Men, which is really interesting. Really interesting. So let's see here. Boy, I got a lot in. I got a lot in just a few minutes, didn't I? You're all right, Cujo. It's always going to get better later. Oh, and also I seen Cug's name just now. Also, I have 6 volunteers for the children's stories, 4 females and 2 males, and I've already sent them all the nursery rhymes and I sent them the first wave. I have a whole nother wave ready for them. And many of, I think 4 of them, maybe 5 of them have already emailed me back. I haven't looked at them yet, but my other channel, which used to be the Phalorn Saga, you guys know that I gave it up to the Construct. I just told the Oversoul, you know what, I can't move in 2 different directions at the same time. I just gave my whole fantasy series, I burned it in a trash can, and I transmuted that energy in the field to Archaix. And since then, I've decided that channel, since it has 6,100 subs, is going to be transmuted into the Archaix for kids. And we have a lot of video content read by different people. You'll hear their voices. Maybe sometimes you'll see a little picture of them, depending upon how they want to do it. And the actual pages of the text and the beautiful pictures from the 1800s all the way up to like World War I. You'll see them, or the kids will see them as they listen to the narratives. So yeah, we've been real busy, super busy. That's what we do. All right. Now, I got my intro out the way. I'm going to remove it. So the links are in the description box. Before I show you the video, I'm just going to share my screen real quick, and we're going to look at the deal. This is the only person that sent me an actual PDF like this. I don't have a way for you to download the PDF straight from my channel. You need to contact them for that PDF. This is way beyond it's way too much information to be shared on this channel. I'm going to show you though what I'm talking about. Share screen before we start this presentation. All right. So the errant ad today is right here. This is the PDF they sent. You're going to have to email them. They have a lot of contact information. It's already in the description box. This is Pantera, IDA, Private Society, House of Peace, Society for Life, Mutual Benefit Society. This is some really interesting stuff. They provide a lot of services. I'm not quite sure. I think this is more like a compound or some type of wilderness community type thing. You'll have to look at it to yourself. There's a lot of contact information and websites right here on the bottom in the PDF. But there's no way for me to share this PDF on my channel except visually like this. But their contact information is in the description box, so you can get this, because Archaix is specifically related in this PDF. I see it mentions Archaix veterans. But this is a word from our sponsor for this video, Pantera Video.
Hello, Archaix community. My name is Kenneth Scott, and I'm here today to invite you to have a look at the Pantera Vida Private Society. We are a private jurisdiction and an established sovereign body politic for well over 20 years, with advanced education, comprehensive answers, and real solutions. In short, we have cracked the code of the matrix, the legal and monetary and esoteric systems that bind and control all of us from birth until death. Our solutions are tried and true. We have blazed the trail for others to follow with the most comprehensive education and practical steps available anywhere today. We are looking for others with the will and passion to walk out of the matrix and walk into life. For those who are ready to join us in applying these solutions to their lives. Are you a creator being and an unstoppable force of creation? If so, come join others who have walked this path, who are ready to support and guide you in this great work. We look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much.
All right. We'll be joining him again at the end of this video. The links are in the description box if you want to know more about that. And you can probably email them and get a copy of that PDF. The PDF itself has all the links on the bottom as well. All right. No more announcements. It's time to go. It's time to do it. So it's been a crazy 5 years since 2020. If you're like me, you've done a lot of growing in this 5 years. You've done your eyes have listen, I wasn't totally awake in 2020. I thought I was, and I know a lot of you think you were, but in 2024, you learned a lot. In 2023, you learned a lot. In 2022, you learned a lot. In 2021, you were still shocked coming out of 2020. And in 2020, it was just, there was no learning at all. It was just, what the hell's going on? It's like the whole world changed. It's like multiple timelines all coalesced and none of them made sense at all. So if you're like me, you've done a lot of growing. But you know what? There's still players out here in the field that are saying the exact same things they were saying in 2020, 2021, 2022. You know their names. I call them the Patriot Pacification Program. One of their chief correspondents who tries to muscle his way onto every single podcast is Juan O'Savin. I'm highly suspicious of that guy, especially after I publicly started calling him out for basically being just a government shill. He's a part of the PPP. He probably gets, monthly stipends straight out of Tel Aviv. I don't know, but I do know this. He started talking about giants and vapor canopy and all these things he's not qualified to talk about. And I've been watching him, and I'm just, you know what? David Nino Rodriguez keeps on having the man on his channel, so I kind of went silent on David. I'm not going to go back on that channel. I mean, he's got a real ultra right conservative audience, and they really don't feel me, and I see that in the comment sections. So I'm not. You know what? I don't feel welcome there. Wayne Williott. Yeah, man. Boot hat wearing ass. We know who you are. So, but we'll talk about them later. We don't even need to talk about them right now. What we need to do is share this screen because you guys need to see these pictures so we can be on the same page. Share the screen. So underground bases are no longer a theoretical extreme. Underground bases are no longer a conspiracy theory. They have nothing to do with fiction. They're absolute fact. You can Google the congressional acts of the 1974, 1975, and 1976 when funding was set aside, all kinds of black ops funding, millions, then billions, then trillions of dollars over a 40-year period have been allocated to the building of multi-level underground facilities all over the United States. No longer a theory. Now, we don't really actually get to see the inside of a lot of these facilities because almost everyone that goes down into these facilities has to sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. So they can't just go in there. I'm really sure that phones, camera phones and all that are heavily monitored. Yeah. It's all on paper and there's all kinds of schematics. But here's an underground facility right here, and you can see it. This is basically a conceptual setup of how all of them are going to be. There's a tram hangar here, meaning that all these underground facilities are connected by underground trains, and we'll see that. We'll see evidence of that in a minute. Living quarters, agricultural areas, meeting center, everything from underwater equipment room, gymnasiums. People can live down here for years. for years. Look at this. These places are so huge, can hide whole fighter squadrons. You can only imagine how much infrastructure. This is a railway system here. I'm pretty sure these are bullet trains, and they probably go 300-400 miles an hour. There's no reason to go slower. There's been several books about underground bases. You can look at them yourself. This is by James and Lance Morgan. At the base of this mountain, look at these entrances. It's high altitude. High altitude. Here's the entrance to a facility. Not much of a parking lot, but man, does it have a whole bunch of stuff going down. This is Mount Weather. It's huge down there. There's a tramway. Where do these tramways go? You can see this is a schematic of the depth, 7 levels. 7 levels of occupation in Mount Weather. And this is just what's been shared with us. Underwater and Underground Bases by Richard Sauter, PhD. Apparently, this is his second book about the topic. They go to Diddy's. They go to Diddy's and they go to Beyonce's closet. Here's another one, Underground Bases and Tunnels. Oh, that's his first book. This one's sold by the Book Tree in San Diego. This is in their catalog. Look how elaborate these facilities can be underground. Look how elaborate they can be. Again, a concept piece. Yeah. What's crazy is when we're talking about this 10, 15 years ago, it was all conspiracy theory. Now it's absolute fact. So it makes you wonder if a lot of the researchers in the 70s and 80s were already talking about this, then that means these were already being built a lot way before the 70s and 80s. There may be a huge population, a whole breakaway society already underneath us. You have to understand, you can't just build underground facilities. Just like a hotel. If you build a hotel and then you leave it there for 7 or 8 years, the electrical, the plumbing, switching, all the air ducts, everything stops working. It takes usage like a vehicle. If you put a vehicle in a driveway and you don't touch it for 2 years, it's not going to start for you. Yeah, if you just leave it alone, these facilities have to be built and populated. There must be a contiguous occupation in order for these facilities to be at their prime and ready to take a breakaway society. That means there's people down there now. One single mountain has a lot of mass. You can put a lot in it. Here's major underground tunnel entrances. This is this is a map from 1996. This is almost 30 years old, this map. You can imagine how it would have been upgraded by now. This is a fleet of naval vessels. That's not just one ship. There's a second ship, third ship, fourth ship. You can see back there. There's more ships. It's all in a row. It's kind of blurry, but this is a fleet of naval vessels underground. So, years ago on my channel, I used to tell you guys about William Johnstone and his book called Out of the Ashes, which is a reference to the Phoenix. And it's 34 books. It's a long series. I have every one of those books, and I've showed them on my channel. I may do another video about them. but to educate you. But if you want to know what it's going to be like after the 2040 and 2046 resets that are coming back to back, Out of the Ashes paints the perfect picture of societal infrastructure breakdown and how people still survive, how they band together, how society fundamentally changes, and everything goes instantly back to World War II technology and engineering. They raid the museums, they raid all the old junkyards, and everything all the manufacturing from the 70s on back is easy to work on. They can put it together, they can rig things up, they can get all these. They got the P-52, the P-51 Mustangs and the P-52s. They got the DC-10s. They got all the aircraft working because it's all old parts. It's just oil and gas. They got all the original, but anything requiring computer software like jet technology, they had to leave it alone because they couldn't use it anymore. So yeah, all the new cars, all that, and this series of books was written in the 80s, and there was a lot of 80s technology that was obsolete after the reset because they required all kinds of things. Think about it now. Think about everything that's obsolete in your life because you have to log into an app just to use it. Yeah, after 2040, there are no more apps. Yeah, after 2040, there's no more electrical infrastructure. Naval vessels in underground facilities, agriculture and farming in underground facilities. Yeah, hydroponics under ultraviolet lights. We've already seen in Glen Rose, Texas, they can grow things far better than are grown under the sun if they just increase the air pressure and use ultraviolet lights and soil and waste materials from humans, and food is composted with human feces and mixed with dirt. And there's unlimited amounts of stone and mineral in the underworld, so they make these formulas that make perfect soil for plants. U.S. government underground facilities and tunnels. These are DUMBs. Deep underground military bases. This is an old map too. This is from 2013. What I find really, really interesting is how Florida is ignored, and southern Alabama, southern Georgia, all of Louisiana, and as big as Texas is, all this area of Texas is ignored except Dallas-Fort Worth. What did I tell you guys in my earlier presentations? When 2040 comes, there's going to be a 30-degree lithospheric displacement. It's going to shove much of the southern United States all the way up to about the 35th parallel into the Gulf of Mexico. So it's really interesting to look at this map. It's like, damn, they already know this. They already know this. So they didn't even bother putting any of these entrances down here in the southern parts of these states. Now, way out here in West Texas, we have different elevations. Going into New Mexico, this is all former ocean bed right here. West Texas, all of New Mexico and Arizona is all former ocean bed. Here's Southern California. We know that's former ocean bed. This is a rock from the Rockies all the way to Sierra Nevadas, full of military bases underground. Yeah, Florida's nowhere where. Yeah, Florida's not a safe zone. It's not safe now. It's not safe in the future. It's never been safe in the past. Hell, all the old maps, Florida's mostly not even there. It's just a stub, meaning most of Florida just recently came out of the ocean. Recently, within human memory. Just like we have maps that are 500 years old that show no ice in the Arctic polar regions. There's a reason for that. Yeah, vapor canopy cycles are true history. Ice Age is not. You remember the trucker convoys, 18-wheeler trucks. A lot of those truckers had to sign NDAs just to drive their stuff down to those facilities. And some of those truckers have come back telling stories. Listen, if you're really interested in underground, you're not going to find it in Archaix. If you're really interested in what's going on in the underground and how much evidence there truly is, I'm going to tell you now, there's at least 100 YouTube videos that will educate you on all these mysteries. That's not the subject matter of this video. It's not. So, We're not going to go into that minutia about everything that's going on. The only thing important for this video is for you to understand that it is now public domain information that underground facilities and underground cities and underground tramways are connecting them all underneath the United States. We have a breakaway society that is preparing for something. Level number 27, 2,341 feet below the surface. Look at the size of this tunnel. Can you imagine the size of the machine that made this tunnel? Yeah, I'm going to show them to you. They exist. This would be your engineering duct. It's going to have your air passing through there, your electrical cables, any water pipes going through there. They got it all right here in one section. Underground facility. Highly polished floor, entrance to an underground facility. Another book, Underground, A Human History of the Worlds Beneath Our Feet, Will Hunt. Here's an underground railroad. Here's a mountain with a huge elevator, and these are jets. Concept piece showing you how jets can be protected deep underground. Well, this is already done. Do you think we leave whole awesome squadrons of B-2s and all of our most sophisticated aircraft just out in the sky for any drones and halo balloons to photograph? No. We got a whole lot of stuff underground, hidden away. Look at this, Bradley fighting vehicles, all underground. Yeah, I believe our military can move all across the United States underground, no problem. The U.S. has 21 trillion underground city for rich to hide. $21 trillion underground city for rich to hide in the event of a near extinction event. That's a picture of the entrance to Cheyenne Mountain, though. The cost of doing business, DUMBs, 21 trillion. They can call them military bases, but the truth is they're going to be full of civilians. That's what they're designed for, to protect civilians. But not everybody's going to be on that list. Promise you that. You've seen Armageddon. Here's one under construction. Massive blast doors. There's the entrance to Cheyenne Mountain. These entrances are at high altitude for a reason. Although the cities and the complexes go down multiple levels underneath the mountains. Oh, we already saw that one. Sorry if some of these are blurry. Remember, I'm just trying to establish the veracity. We're all on the same page. These pictures aren't proof of anything other than the fact that it's common knowledge we have underground bases now. Look, some of these underground facilities have the old World War II era armament. That's important because in the event that there is any type of major change to the atmosphere, if there's a reason why electrical conductivity doesn't work the same way anymore, if there's a reason that the infrastructure is collapsed to where we can no longer provide for circuitry, microcircuitry, the U.S. military still has in reserve all this awesome armaments that don't require any of that. Just straight up engineering. They can put together all the old fighter squadrons, all the old tanks, everything is in oil vats, individual machine parts that need to stay preserved are dumped in huge barrels of oil, and underground facilities have hundreds of thousands of these oil drums full of all these machine parts. Just kicking it underground. Let me just kick it right here. Try to figure out why they're doing this. Here's Mount Weather again. It's a better picture. Just showing you the different levels going underground. Massive doors. These are massive blast doors. General population would never be able to get in here. And if they did, they would be met with machine guns, massive resistance. They wouldn't be able to do much. This is too blurry. This is DARPA facility, subdomains. Look at the size of that. It's a whole hub. It's crazy how much they can put underground. Whole cities and infrastructures, multiple different levels. I've been telling you guys for 5 years on my channel, there's more real estate in the underworld than there is on the surface. Because on the surface, even the Empire State Building is still basically on a two-dimensional plane. You're still on a surface up here. But in the underworld, you can build cities horizontal with multiple levels. You can go up. You can go vertical. You can spread out hundreds of square miles, nothing but city with pillars holding the weight up. It's just there's no end. You got 3 dimensions to build, not 2. Entrance to Cheyenne Mountain construction started in 1962. $21 trillion spent on underground bases. This dude looks like he's square business. This is just above ground. This is just what you see above ground at Mount Weather. But there's more underground. Man, this mountain here's got a 2-lane highway. What's going on here? Again, blast doors. Here's an old one. Look how high the ceiling is underground. This looks old. This looks really unusual because it's a very old picture. This is an old picture. That's an old tractor type thing. And this is an old railway. And yet this is underground. It's like they came back and now they're going to redo it, or I don't know. Very enigmatic photo. Underground facilities, electrical conduit right here on the left. Oh, we already saw that book. We'll get to wind turbines here in a little while. Here's another underground facility. Look at the size of this. Little bitty people compared to this massive. It's got a single rail. This is a monorail. This would have been a high-speed train. This monorail here. Kind of blurry. This one right here's got 2 sets of tracks. So you could have trains going in 2 different directions in this tunnel. Here's just an ordinary train track underground. This is going to be probably from a movie, but still, it's a concept piece. That's no movie. how old this all that's rebar. It's like it's been tore out. All right, so we've covered the underground bases. Now, it's not just the U.S. military. It's not just Switzerland. It's not just other governments. Germany, the UK, Australia building underground bases. China's doing it as well. But it's not just the military or the governments doing it, because even the ultra rich, even millionaires and billionaires are building bunkers. It's become not only a fad, but there's an industry for it now. There are companies that tailor to the rich and powerful and will come build them underground bunkers. But the problem with this is that the protection is very temporary and it's nominal. What I mean is the facilities that I just showed you, the general population are never going to be able to infiltrate, because they're going to have some very heavy weaponry to protect themselves in the military bases. And the blast doors alone, there's nothing at the civilian level that can really get through all that. Once those vaults are locked down. Now, they're going to be able to protect themselves. There's going to be a lot more humans in there. They're going to have a vested interest in protecting themselves. They're going to have all kinds of weaponry at their disposal, and a lot of it might not be conventional. It'll be very technological. So hordes of humans trying to break in those military domes is probably just, it's not going to happen. But what will happen is that there will be ways for survivors on the surface in those communities to know where to find the bunkers of the rich and famous, and those eccentric millionaires or upper middle class eccentric individuals that have their own little private bunkers on their own property, because they're going to be able to find these through the air ducts. There's going to have to be some ventilation somewhere, air ducts somewhere, or some output for where all the water's going. Those are not going to be able to protect. I don't care how it looks like in these pictures. Even the civilian contractors, the type of tools that they can bring to the table, and just sheer force of hammers and chisels trying to get it. After a while, if there's hundreds of hungry people that know that some Hollywood elite family is in this area right here, and their bunker's right here underneath their mansion, you're not going to keep them out. They're going to find a way in. They're going to find a way in. Yeah, they might be safe for some weeks or maybe some months, but after a while, after the 2040 event is over with, there's going to be people putting together like micro communities and stuff. There's going to be gang dictator lordships. There's going to be there's going to be a restructuring of society during this chaotic period. And there's going to be the use of power tools and all kinds. Those people that are hiding in those facilities those facilities are going to be breached. The military domes are not. They're too deep, too remote, too far away. But all these hundreds and maybe even thousands of bunkers made by actors and actresses and some local politicians and just rich people in general, yeah, these facilities here, they're going to be breached. They're not safe. People will find a way in. If they know there's food down there and weapons and provisions and supplies, they're going to find a way in. You need to read that Out of the Ashes. People get real creative when resources get scarce. Underground hydroponics and growing herbs and vegetables. Yeah, these facilities down here hidden like that, they're going to be found. There's really no way to hide them. There's always gonna be evidence of their presence. This is all underground bunkers. Everything I'm showing you is from underground bunkers. You see how they have the antenna here? They have the here's the entrance. People are just going to be curious when they go to all these farmsteads and all that. And they're foraging for food. They tear the house apart and there's nothing really there. But a quarter mile out in the pasture, there's a ventilations duct. Once they're gonna explore these places, they're gonna find out what these are. They're gonna tear that apart and they're gonna knock it down. They're gonna see there's a hole here and that there's smells coming out of this hole. Somebody's cooking down there. You don't think they're gonna dig and find a way, and they are. The bunker community underground. It's a concept piece, but still, many of these facilities could have already been built. I mean, we already know they are. They're advertised. There's companies that advertise they will build them for you. Yeah, this right here, these people think they're safe. Initially, they will be. But once the chaos is over and once people are trying to put their lives back together and all that, and, you know, all these places like this are going to be raided. There's no food found here. And then another group of people pass through and they look through it. After a while, it cannot be hidden. The exhaust coming out of this facility, the smells in the air. Yeah. 9 months after a cataclysm, when nobody's cooking in kitchens anymore and all that stuff like that, there's going to be smells that are going to draw people in. Animals are going to gravitate. Animals are going to smell stuff and they're going to gravitate by the exhaust. The exhaust may be hidden real cleverly by boulders and all that, and boulders put on it, but the exhaust is still coming through the cracks of the rocks. And the animals are fascinated because they smell all this and they stay in that area. Humans are going to take notice of that. And they're going to think, oh, there's something hidden in those rocks. Those animals keep going up. They're going to move all the rocks. They're going to find that exhaust fan. And then they're going to know, well, shit. An exhaust fan that's working means there's a power source down there. These smells mean that there's humans down there eating pretty good, and they're going to dig their way down there till they find you. Just the way it is. Just the way it is. These are all underground bunkers. How they're built for the rich and the famous. These are in Texas right here. This place is huge. This would have required a company to come in and build all this underground and then build the house on top of it. Look at that. Bedroom right there. Elevator. Bedroom, bedroom, bedroom. Now this picture comes from an underground. So this what you're seeing here is fake. It's made to look like a high-rise building or on a mountain, and that's scenery and all that. But that's just fake. That's fake scenery. Everybody, this is underground. That's in Texas. So here's concept pieces on how you can take shipping containers and make your own bunkers. It would be some pretty good protection. Stacking shipping containers on each other, cutting a hole through them, a ladder going down, whatever. That would be some pretty good protection, the shipping containers. Look at that facility down there. What the hell? People, when thrust into desperate situations, will get very, very creative. Hunger will produce genius. These people that all think they're going to hide and ride this out and all that, they're going to be found. going to be found. Especially when one is found and word spreads, oh man, this is what you're looking for. So instead of looking in all the houses on the prairie and the forest, they start looking for the exhaust. This shows this old building. Here's the elevator that goes down to a sub-level. Generators, repair shops, armored cars, safe deposit boxes. The wall is 19 feet thick. Yeah. Billionaires are buying islands and building secret bunkers. But why? Why are they building them? You know why. Inside the luxurious underground bunkers where the rich bug out. You know why. There's no secrets here. Underground bunkers. Here's how much they actually cost and who can build them for you. It's in the public domain now, guys. The secret world of underground bunkers. Could doomsday bunkers become the new normal? That's how prolific these are. There are whole companies that are now doing this. Now, what's interesting to me is that these people that order these bunkers and do all this, do you really believe that these companies are allowed to contract and do this? Do you really think they're allowed to build these bunkers for you without disclosing to the U.S. government the location of the underground structures they did? Of course they got to disclose it, because you can't get permission to build underground anywhere in America without getting municipal permission. You got to have fire code. You got to have all kinds of people come out, all in your business. Your place is not a secret. You are going to be on so many government lists and municipal lists just having that underground facility on your property. If you have a private contractor company come out there and build it for you, you have literally told the world that you have this underground facility here. It kind of defeats the purpose. Celebrity bunkers revealed. They all got bunkers. Tom Cruise with his 5'5" ass trying to play Jack Reacher, man, that shit didn't work. And then here's Tesla. This guy builds boring machines, builds those tunnels. Look at this guy right here, ostrich head ass. You already know who he is. Got his own bunker, probably full of a bunch of Amazon products, provisions in an underground bunker. Yeah, Tom Cruise is most unimpressive when you see him live. Like, wow, man. But then again, I already know now. I mean, now that I know who most of the Hollywood actors and actors are, now I understand why they're all short. Ain't no mystery there. I used to think all these women were tall as hell. Had me fooled. So this is the military underground facilities, which are not a secret, and the underground and the underground tunnels that connect them all. They're not a secret. That the rich and powerful are now buying and making bunkers is not a secret. There's nothing secret about any of this. It is now a part of the public domain. So, the technology to build these. Oh, many of you guys know this guy. Many of you guys know this guy. If he would have just waited till after 2020 to start doing his disclosures, he might still be alive. Now, he and William Cooper were a little too close to what was happening, so they had to take them out. Phil Schneider, right here, May of 1995. Look at that tunnel making machine. Underground, it is operated and owned by the U.S. Air Force. Remember what I told you about Space Force? Has nothing to do with the sky. Space Force has nothing to do. Trump's Space Force has everything to do with governing over internet space. Everything is the opposite of what is purported to be. These boring machines are operated by the U.S. Air Force underground. Look at the size. There's different companies that make these, like Kawasaki, Lockheed Martin. There's different companies that make these, and they make them different sizes and for different reasons. Look at the size of this one. It's tunnel machines. These things bore through solid basalt, solid rhyolite, solid granite. Yeah, the three hardest substances, they bore right through them. Look at this. It's amazing. Bores right through solid rock, creating these tunnels. Look at this. What's crazy about it is they're nuclear powered. These are nuclear powered boring machines that bore tunnels through the earth, connecting underworld cities and underworld military bases. Yes, TMBs, tunnel boring machines. So, real easy answer here. Yes, the technology exists. Concept piece. Shows you right here. Underneath this city, all's going well. Minor 3.5 earthquake today, no big deal. We're just tunneling under your city. So here's this concept piece here is really, this diagram is really interesting because it shows the bit on the end. This rotisserie, it rotates at high speed, and it shows the turbine. This is nuclear powered, but once it drills through, other machines come through and put the tunnel together in the bore. All this is done by machines. Puts the tunnel together. Through solid rock. It's pulverizing it. It's turning that solid rock into dust. I'm pretty sure it vacuums out the back. Look at the size of this one. This one's so huge, it's got 3 decks for operators. It's got 3 operator decks. These are rails and stairs for people, for men walking. 3 decks of operations in the van of this one single bit. That one is huge. James Hadaway, you can call it biology all you want, but it's still rhyolite, granite, and basalt. It's still hard as stone with a crystalline makeup. It's still rock. It may have been biology at one time, I don't know, but it's solid stone now. Look at the size of that drill bit, that machine. So now you see, absolutely the technology exists. So while they're building all these things, let's see here. I want to go to this again real quick. Underground bases. It's just amazing when you look at all these. It's crazy what they fit in here. Ships and stuff. What the hell? So it's now become common knowledge that this is what they've been doing. They've been doing it for a while. Now, a few years ago, I said on my channel that one of Nancy Pelosi's jobs was to basically fleece the American public for trillions and trillions of dollars and all these multi-trillion-dollar stimulus bills in order to pay for these underground facilities. Now, the Patriot Pacification Program went full tilt in 2020 with COVID. While most of the world was distracted with COVID, and which was the design, it was intended that way. Multiple different scenarios were all playing out at the same time. So they wanted to deliver something into the human genome, and they did by all those who participated, not those who caught COVID, but those who participated in the vaccination plans. So the vaccinations were a delivery mechanism for something that was going to have a long-term effect on the human population. Long-term, as far as in the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, it would just increase and build in its effect. At the same time this was going on, all of a sudden, our controllers are unleashing these agents of the Patriot Pacification Program. You heard them. One of the major things was, oh man, we're going to switch over. We're going to switch over to this new electronic currency. And you had so many content creators that were just flooding you with this new quantum financial system that was going to come out. And this became a narrative. And you had people like Mel K that were pushing this narrative, and Charlie Ward and Simon Parks and X22, the X22 report, Dave. You had all this, and then this was a narrative. Then you had these Galactic Federation guys, and you had Wilcox, and you had some of these other ones I just named pushing another narrative too, that were trying to weave them together. It's like, man, we were getting assaulted with so many different narratives, and now we're hearing about all these, how the military, the U.S. military with Trump, were taking down the cabal, and they were trying to explain away why all these detonations were being heard underground. So the narrative, the cover story was created, and in 2020, 2021, and 2022, they went strong with this narrative that the cabal's underground dumps, which are full of hundreds of thousands of slave children, were being freed, and there was a war going on underground as Trump sent the U.S. military into the underground dumps to free these children from the satanic cabal. This is the narrative. Everybody was pushing it. Charlie Ward was pushing it. Simon Parks was pushing it. Mel K was participating. The Frog News Network. Also, let me tell you another narrative. The same group that was spinning all these narratives also began doing the Q drops. The Q drops, well, I still can't wrap my head around the fact that some people actually believe that the Q drops are the white hats giving all this intel to the public, and that it has to be decoded. It is so dumb. It is so dumb to assume that an intelligence apparatus is going to give drops out, and they're not a part of the deceptive apparatus that's trying to deceive you. There's no way that the Q drops could ever be telling the truth unless the ones releasing the Q drops are a part of those who are deceiving you. And they tell you just enough truth to get by with the next big deception. So every time some of the Q drops appear to be telling the truth, it's because the ones giving the drops are the ones controlling the narrative. So we have all these people, and then another real big player came into the game, and Judy Byington, not her, but Judy Byington, and then we had Praying Medic, and I'm missing a lot of names from the Patriot Pacification Program, but we have a lot of these people that were dropping hints, and it was all very well choreographed. So when this other guy started getting real popular, it looked like he was giving us the truth and giving us the business. but he is a part of the military industrial complex. He goes by Monkey Works. And Monkey Works had all kinds of code names for Biden and for the vice president and for the Brown Zone, Washington, D.C. But he was Mil-Spec Ops. He literally told us he was Mil-Spec Ops. That's military special operations. Psychological division, probably. But Monkey Works was giving us all kinds of, showing us flight plans, and he was painting a picture that all these unusual flights were going to Guantanamo Bay. And he was always talking about, okay, we we think Hillary and such are already gone. So they must have been on this plane. And he too promoted the deception. Monkey Works, Mil-Spec Ops. He's not the only one. There was many players in this. Juan O'Savin is like the chief agent of the Patriot Pacification Program. How do you know who is a part of the program and who's not? You can only judge things by their effects. That's all you can judge. You judge by their effect. And the effect was to do the same thing that the Russians suffered under Operation Truth in the Bolshevik takeover of Russia, when the white Russian Christians lost their country to the Jewish Bolsheviks. They literally stood down, and there was no resistance because they had been bombarded with all kinds of messages to trust the plan, be cool, you know what, hold it down, don't react. That's what they want you to do. Don't react. Don't do anything stupid, because we're already taking care of it behind the scenes. This is what's going on. And while the population was being told this, many others in the population were corralled, put to the torture. Information was found for them. More people from the population disappeared. They ended up in Siberian work camps. And after 15 years, 26 million people were worked to death, and they vanished. And the Christian Russian Empire became the USSR, the atheist, Jewish-controlled socialist republic states. So this is actual history, and the United States fell for the exact same thing, but painted in a patriot, in the same way, in the same garb that the United States Christian conservatives would accept it. So we have all these narratives in 2020, 2021, and 2022 painting all this, but those underground explosions never had anything to do with delivering, justice to the satanic cabal who operated underground dumbs. And it wasn't the U.S. military going down there blowing up the dumbs and rescuing children. None of those rescued children have ever been seen. None of them. None of those med beds have ever been made available to the public. If med beds were ever a thing, they're only for the underworld facilities, and they're going to stay down there. So while COVID was going on and the vaccine pressure was going on, all these narratives were all going on, but they're all accomplishing the exact same agenda. This hypervigilance was created in the population, and everybody's waiting to find out what the next piece of news is. What's going to happen here? What's going on? And while this was going on 4.5 years ago, I'm releasing videos, and people are looking at me like I'm a nut, because people were saying that this is the new normal. The Democrats stole the election. They took over. Trump's gone. I said, this is it. This is it. There's no reason for them to give back power. I says they stole that. And now we're seeing all kinds of evidence from all these YouTubers and even in mainstream media that Biden was doing all these press conferences from a fake Oval Office. People were showing all the things. And then they fenced D.C. That is the symbol of a captured operation. Washington, D.C. got fenced. And we have all these narratives being spun and told, and people are trying to figure out what's going on, when all along the U.S. military industrial complex is using that trillions of dollars to build facilities, get them prepared, get the breakaway societies, underground facilities ready for them to be interred, for them to make their move. Have they made their move yet? No. But narratives were put in place, such as going to take down the deep state cabal. Oh, I need to go back. I was painted as a lunatic because I was releasing predictions videos telling everybody, look, I know things look bad, but the democratic takeover is not only temporary. I said this in my predictions videos. Many of my Archaix veterans know this in the chat right now. I said there's going to be a total reversal. It does look bad. It does in 2020. Trump got kicked out and all, but I said Trump is coming back strong to politics. I didn't think he was going to be president again, but I said he's got a political career in his future. And I also said that the Democrats are going to completely implode and collapse, and there is going to be, this is my specific words, I said Trump is going to initiate a controlled collapse of the Democratic Party. I said this 5 years ago when everybody was telling me, and it was all over social media, that the Democrats have taken over. This is the new normal. Republicans are lost. Conservatives of America is doomed. This is all people talked about. And I'm saying the exact opposite. I said, you guys are wrong. They're going to take down the Democrats. The Democratic Party is going to implode. The Republican Party is going to get stronger and stronger, but it's only going to get stronger because of a takeover. And that takeover I labeled as the Christian Reich. And I also explained that the Christian Reich is mainly a Zionist movement full of Jewish funding. Everything I said came true. Tulsi Gabbard, I addressed the fact that Tulsi Gabbard jumped parties. I said, well, she's an agent. She's 100% an agent of the WEF because Tulsi Gabbard's a lifelong Democrat. But they're going to implode the Democratic Party, which they did. And they turn around, Tulsi Gabbard jumped ship. But she's the same thing Trump is. Most people don't know who are Trump supporters that Trump is a lifelong Democrat. He switched to Republican and ran for presidency. Excuse me. So, anyway, long story short, Christian Reich is now seen everywhere. It's now seen everywhere. I also said 5 years ago that within five to 10 years, there's going to be a public anti-Semitic sentiment rising in the Christian Western nations. Man, did I nail that? Because you couldn't even say many of the things that are being said on social media now back in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. But now here in 2024 and 2025, look at social media now. And that's cost a lot of resentment. There's a lot of content creators that resent the shit out of me because they see that I haven't really been censored. I've had a few videos taken down, strikes, but they see I haven't been censored. But you have to understand, I wasn't a part of the 2020 purge. There was a huge 2020 purge across YouTube and X, but I wasn't on either one of those in 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019 to be purged. I started my channel at that time. So yeah, it's I get it. I absolutely get it. Man, Biscuit Barrel. I shouldn't have said I'm scared in a post. Jason will block me now. I know dying isn't the end, but I have to admit to being scared for my kids. I'm not going to block you, but I am kind of irritated with you that you would say that I would block you for saying that you were scared in a post. That's almost a troll comment. Oh, sometimes I don't get people. So anyway, yeah, they purged the health channels too. There's no doubt. Absolutely, Clay's Pigeon. So I see somebody saying that Zionism is being exposed everywhere. I'm going to have to disagree. Milo Aaron, Zionism is being exposed there. Now, something that is controlled is not really being exposed. You have to understand the mechanics of the parasite-host relationship. I've talked about this in other presentations. I'm not going to get into it here. But if you truly understood the dynamic of the of the host and parasite relationship, you would have to understand that the parasite has to be self-regulatory. It must purge itself to maintain that minority status, because if it becomes a majority like it is right now, it has to go through a purge process, and it has to use the host for the purging so it can always claim to be victim later, which further supports the agenda of the parasite. Yeah, this is a very simple, it's actually very, very simple, but it totally explains what's been going on for the past 25 centuries. Now, so no, they're not being exposed. They're the controllers, and they're literally telling the public what the problem is. So the public will induce the change and then use their governments to overcorrect. And then in the overcorrection, the parasite group allows itself to be victimized, because they select which elements of their society will fall for them. It's called scapegoating. Now, that's not the subject matter of this video, though. These underground facilities and these narratives were all pushed on us with the trucker convoys. Remember 3 years ago, I was doing videos and I told you about the trucker convoys. I says, don't believe that BS. These are not trucker convoys for patriotic purposes. That is all smoke and mirrors. There, maybe one or two of them were, but all the other trucker convoys were out there. The narrative was created in order to normalize the seeing of massive amounts of trucks going in different directions, because we have it on reliable authorities over a few years that many people said that whole trucker convoys disappeared. You can't disappear hundreds of 18-wheelers, but they can go out of sight. Now, a lot of these things too, these narratives were all spun very cleverly, and they hit us like a shotgun. It creates hypervigilance. People are just on point looking at things. With the trucker convoys, there was something else being reported in the news at the exact same time. They go in tandem. The trucker convoys was a major narrative pushed 3 separate times between 2020 and 2023. Those 3 separate times in the news, the common denominator was that the shelves of America were very light on a lot of products, and it was blamed on all kinds of other things. A lot of the blame was put on the public for panicking, and people were panic buying. And the news was also showing a whole bunch of urbanites running into stores and these flash mobs going in and stealing everything off the shelves and then leaving. And these narratives were all cleverly spun and put into the mainstream news to confuse people and muddy the waters. When the real deal was the trucker convoys were taking many of the things that were coming off the shipping from the shipping ports, from the Chinese barges. Those things were never making it to the shelves of America. Those barges were taking all this stuff made in China and overseas straight into underground facilities for their commissaries and for their repositories. And once those were filled up and those were done, America got their stuff. America got all their stuff and everything was fine. And once you can go to the store and buy toilet paper again, everything was cool. You can buy deodorant again, and a lot of foods reappeared. I remember a good 9-month period where you could almost not find any ramen noodle soups. I remember that because I was up in my feelings about that. So these narratives, and we have these tail spinners. Listen, they were tail spinners. All these people. Mel K was one of the worst. She's up there with 107. So is David Wilcox guy. And there was others that participated in the narratives, although they didn't really have bad intentions, like Praying Medic. And then you go Judy Byington. Oh my God, that woman there. She's not the only. There's other females that were involved in this. Charlie Ward, Simon Parks, 107. The Frog News Network. Then he died mysteriously. He was gaining, the Frog News Network was gaining some traction. And Mike Penny Mike Penny was a part of that as well. And then Mike Penny fell off the bandwagon because he was doing podcasts and he was using a source of a dude who was a child predator. And that dude came up into the news. He was in the news for being a child predator, and Mike Penny was attached to him. So Mike Penny took a fall behind that. Yeah, there's just so many narratives that were going on at that time. And one of the strongest, two of the strongest, concerning the quantum financial system deal, which is nothing but the Q stuff repackaged, was X-22, Dave, the Dave report. That fooled a lot of people. They were always hanging on everything Dave had to say. Come to find out, it's all just BS. It's all just made up. None of it's true. It's all just made up. It's all spun. The X-22 report may be an early example of the genius of using random data to create an AI narrative. But then you had somebody who truly admitted that he was mil-spec ops. Therefore, you can take everything he said as bullshit. He is military special ops. Monkey Works. His channel is still popular today on YouTube, but it was super popular during the Guantanamo Bay narrative when he kept on promoting the idea that the Clintons and many other criminals and many of the people that we've been wanting prosecuted and all that, the Epstein people on the Epstein list, all that stuff was going. That's another narrative. The Epstein list is just another narrative. This is what the controllers do. They'll spin as many narratives as possible to get everybody embroiled in thinking about all these surface contexts, when all the real work is being done underground. But the narratives like the Epstein list and the Guantanamo Bay deal, these narratives are also serving another purpose. And that purpose is to effect the removal of targeted breakaway society participants from the surface without letting the surface know where they're really going. Process that. The Epstein list prosecutions, when they come, and those terrorists and political dissidents who are prosecuted for past crimes and go to Guantanamo Bay, where they're really going, when these actors and actresses leave the United States because they're running from Trump or they're running from the Epstein prosecutions, when people disappear that are no longer in the public, when Oprah makes her move, when Ellen DeGeneres makes her move and goes, where they're really going is to their placeholders in the breakaway society. Remember, these underground facilities must have people in them. They must continue to be used for when they're ready for the people in 2036, because the vaults are going to shut in 2036. They're 4 years before the events even start. They are going to lock down. On the surface, we have some pretty good times economically. On the surface, things aren't going to get bad on the surface economically till about 2036, maybe 2037. This is done so they can have an easy transit. They can easy exit. But it's going to be, I promise you, it's going to be 11 years, 10 and a half, 11 years of even more bizarre stories, strange narratives, all kinds of things. And we're going to be bombarded with so many personalities and new stuff that eventually it's just going to be obvious. Wait a minute. All the players that we knew of in 2010 and 2011 and 2012, they're gone. All the actors, actresses, politicians that we knew of in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, where are they at? They're gone. And now we're embroiled in all the politics and all the weird stuff going on with these new faces. Not even realizing most of the population is not even going to realize that all these narratives are in place in order to secure the removal of the breakaway civilization and get them down to where they need to be and do it as quietly as possible. So by the time the vault doors are sealed, no one on the surface is able to do anything about it. My very first YouTube video ever I just reposted it last month. Weapon in the Dome, all about the Phoenix phenomenon. My very first video told you that everything going on in the world today is all a cover story for the financing, the building, and the sequestering away of people into underground facilities. I said that in my very first video. Nothing has changed, but the last 5 years of world history has basically proven my assessment. It's all happening. So that's what the Patriot Pacification Program did. That's why I don't like any of them. That's why I don't like Juan Saban. I don't like any of them. That's why David Nino Rodriguez asked me if I wanted to come back on his channel again. And you know what? I like the guy. He's a fellow Texan, man. He's a boxer. I get it, man. I say the fighting spirit. Listen, but you know what? He's still talking to Juan Saban, and I can't. There's no way. I can't be associated no more. Just can't do it. So even the vaccine, the whole vaccine is part of a debilitating deal. What they want to do is soften the public. The Phoenix phenomenon in May of 2040 is going to soften the public. The collapse of our society and infrastructure is definitely going to soften the public. Nostradamus shows that we have a 5.5 year period in between. 6.5 year period in between the two destructions of the world. The first destruction, the Phoenix phenomenon, is mainly going to be the coasts of America and the continent of Asia. But the 2046 event is going to affect the entire world. But the period in between isn't rebuilding, it's restructuring society. Now it's not going to be like a society that you know of today at all. At all. After, come 2036, you girls out there need to find boyfriends that are suited for the zombie apocalypse type stuff. That's what you need to do. Or find girlfriends that are tough as hell. Because that's the type of world we're going to be living in. I paint a picture of what parts of that world. Some worlds are going to be very peaceful, just like World War II. I told you, when you are moored to source, the oversoul will always have you ride through a storm, no matter how bad around you it is. It creates an insulated world within a world. And I've given, and over the course of 5 years on my channel, I have given you many, many, many examples of communities that were perfectly preserved while everything around them else was destroyed. Not just in the personal, but also in the collective. Whole areas, whole cities, whole countries absolutely untouched. And when it comes to the Phoenix phenomenon, I even have a whole video explaining all the times in the 1800s when solaric anomalies and weird things, fiery clouds, rocks, weird stuff, the sun going dark, happened over American cities, where other cities that were within eyesight 30 or 40 miles away didn't see a thing. Remember, our world is not what you think. And the sky is a lie. And phenomena can be highly compartmentalized over geographical areas like a kaleidoscope that from a vantage point looks like a blue sky, but the people underneath that blue sky are looking up at a red sun and a moon that's gone black and unusual clouds that are on fire as gravel rains from the sky. This is in the historical record, and it's in it many, many times. Many times. So we're going to be told that people are getting imprisoned. We're going to be told that people were sent to detention camps. We're going to be told that they're slated for execution. They may have public deals. All these things people are waiting for, prosecutions, the Epstein list. We're going to be told all this stuff. They're going to use AI, and they're going to use dummies and mannequins and robots and make it look like people are getting their heads chopped, whatever, in the next 10, 11 years to satisfy the public. Bred in circuses. Peace is going to come. It's going to have to. Even the prophecies say that before the sun turns dark and the moon turns red as blood and the rocks fall from the sky and the heavens roll like a scroll and the stars begin to fall like untimely figs, a pole shift. This is the Phoenix phenomenon. It's the sixth seal of the apocalypse. It's the sixth sky dragon of Mother Shipton. It is the month of May 2040, perfectly dated also by Nostradamus in the month of May 2040. I've shown all this on my channel. This event, though, is preceded by a period that mirrors Sodom and Gomorrah society, where society becomes ultra financially blessed, peaceful, and rich. And now they're marrying, they're entering into marriage, and they're loving life. And this is where we are going. And it's all specifically manufactured by the elite. I know there's a whole bunch of people, just like 5 years ago in my predictions videos, there were people naysaying, and there's still people all talking about financial collapse. This is what's going to happen. It's not. It's the exact opposite. In the third seal, Apollo Nemesis, I've already done the video on Apollo Nemesis. It is the third seal of the apocalypse. The Judeo-Christian interpretation tells you the exact opposite of the truth. But going back and rendering it all into Greek and in the Greek symbols of the Nemesis symbol, the scales, and what it actually means is great material wealth is about to be visited on the human family. And the dark aspect of the third seal is that this extreme wealth and peace is going to darken the spirits of the collective. It's going to be really hard to be a spiritual being during this period. This is what's about to begin. Even the WEF told you the truth. You will own nothing and you will love it. This is the society they're preparing. Everybody's doomsaying and talking about financial collapse. I'm telling you, it's not coming. It's going to be the exact opposite. 100%. And it's going to be that way. And the surface world's going to be at peace and partying and doing everything they want to do right before the Phoenix phenomenon. But the breakaway society will be tucked safely away underground, having manufactured the last 25 years of events in order to make it to the underground, basically undetected and with full provisions and in about 70 different sites to guarantee survival. I'm about to tell you something that's going to piss a lot of you off. It's going to piss a lot of you off. You know I'm a critic. You know I'm always on the attack on things I believe with my heart are total BS. But there's also something equally true, and I know most of you disagree with it. But you disagreeing with me would never induce me to be quiet. I have to tell you that I've seen a lot of evidence that the elite are playing a game, and that they are evil, that they are nefarious, that they are against the human family is a part of the disguise. And that the true objective is the continuance of government and the continuance of the race. And that many of the programs of the elite are specifically designed for you to believe that they are evil and that they are trying to enslave and control you. And these provide a service, and it allows them to work within a wider net of possibilities because you already assume that they are evil. Therefore, many of their behaviors or the outcome of many of their programs are now are more easily accepted by you. But sometimes we have to do really dark things in order to make sure that there's a light in the future. I'm not saying a lot of the rich and powerful aren't sorry SOBs. I'm not. The families of the elite, I'm not. What I'm telling you is that most of what you see in the media is smoke and mirrors. The CIA is a very real organization, but they don't do what you think they do. Our world is a stage, and all these politicians and all these actors and all these public figures, most of them are playing roles to create narratives. The narratives allow for outcomes. The outcomes are seen by the public and interpreted one way, which gives the elite a lot of leeway to go in other directions. I'm telling you that there's a lot of evidence that not all the elite are bad, and maybe hardly any of them are. But a lot of these narratives, like the Masons and Freemasons, Bohemian Grove, and the Council of 300, and maybe a lot of these narratives could be just that, narratives. Because in this construct, scapegoating seems to be one of the prime programs that are operable in deceiving the public all the time. So this is just something to chew on. It's something to chew on. So I'm telling you now, there's a breakaway civilization. I'm also telling you now that, like I've told you in past presentations, when we talk about the elite, we're at least talking about three different groups. We're at least talking about three different groups. So, yeah, the whole white hat military blowing up dumbs to save children, that's so paid out. And you have to be careful too, because we have the Patriot Pacification Program agents already coming back. They're already coming back to YouTube. Mel K's already come back. That woman is an investigator like you wouldn't believe. This girl knows so much shit about so many people. But if there is anybody in the field out there who is Jewish doing evil things, you ain't got nothing to worry about from Mel K, because she's not even gonna talk about you. She's gonna talk about everybody else. Then you got Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward coming back to YouTube recently. Mel K come back to YouTube. There's a few others. I can't remember all of them, but it seems like that there's a comeback now. And I would be very, very, very cautious on what you consume from those individuals real quick. Especially mil-spec ops. I'm trying to hear that. So among these pictures I've shown you, a lot of these pictures, these are a Cheyenne Mountain Complex, Colorado Springs, NORAD, North American Aerospace Defense Command Headquarters, Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center in Virginia, FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency Underground Facility, Raven Rock Mountain Complex in Pennsylvania, Greenbrier Congressional Bunker in West Virginia, Nevada Test and Training Range Underground Facilities, the Pentagon, Arlington, Virginia sublevels. There's a whole sublevel. We're talking about a whole under city underneath the Pentagon with these tramways that go to all these other military bases. The Dugway Proving Ground, Utah, Los Alamos National Laboratory, New Mexico, Kirtland Air Force Base, Manzano Base, New Mexico, Whitman Air Force Base in Missouri. It has an underground command and control bunkers like so many other Air Force bases. Oh, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. I've talked about that in prior presentations because they've got. I did a presentation about Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in my Anuna series on the Anunnaki, showing you the 1947. The alien assist wasn't an alien assist at all. All those materials that were supposed to have gone to Area 51, Hangar 18, never made it there. They were rerouted to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base to the R&D divisions, and underground labs researched all that area because it was an underworld assist, not an alien assist. A breakaway civilization in the underworld gave us those materials and staged them like it was a UFO crash. Yeah, remember, in all the narratives, I've been saying this for 5 years on my channel, all the narratives, this is why Ancient Aliens is a government-supported PSYOP. All the narratives are telling you to look up when all the activity is underneath us. Yeah, man, the shit gets deep. The shit gets deep. So, what would be an excellent way to secure the debilitate? If you're going to go hide for 25 years in underground facilities because your scientists and because your AI programs have harvested all this data over a 100-year period, and even the Archaix material, and you know for a fact in May of 2040, we're gonna go through a temporal pole shift, and everything's going to stabilize, but not before the oceans slip their basins and do a bunch of damage. Now, 6.5 years later, the world is going to jump ecliptics because the Nemesis X object is going to come close and it's going to do what it always does, acts like a fairy. And we are literally going to become a moon to it as we are pulled onto the Nemesis ecliptic, which is 60 degrees perpendicular to the Sol ecliptic we're on now. We're going to get pulled back onto the original 60-degree Nemesis ecliptic. We're still going to be going around the sun in the astronomical model that is painted across our sky. And remember, our sky is a holographic field. It is a multi-tiered hologram that is deceiving us. The actual ground never moves. All movement is simulated in the sky to make us believe we are moving. We are in a construct. We are in an experience. We are not on an actual world. You could basically call this a plane. Now, this is a technological experience. But what would really work well for the controllers to secure, so they know when they come back up, they're not going to come back up in the middle of a technologically advanced society that's gone dark, gone rogue, gone in another way, doing something that would oppose them when they come back up to rule. What would they do? I'm going to tell you what they would do. There's three major things that they would do in order to secure this deal. Well, actually, there's four. There's four major things. There are four major things that they would do in order to make sure that when they come back up into like a Neolithic environment where humans are just barely making it and they can't offer a resistance. And after 25 years, they will look at them as heroes when they unseal the mountain vaults and they come out in their armored columns. And mostly males, and they come out and survey the land, and they take a census and begin rebuilding civilization. Where have you heard this story before? But what would they do right now in order to effect the softening of civilization so it can't recuperate during these 25 years? What would it do? I'm going to tell you one thing it would do. It would start building wind turbines all over the world, and it would start passing legislation to enforce the usage of these wind turbines, which don't do what they're supposed to do. The turbines require a whole bunch of electricity just to run, and the chemical compounds and the amount of waste that's used in building these and the harm to the environment in building these wind turbines is off the chart. What they do to the ground. Wind turbines. And you specifically have all these infrastructures relying on wind turbine technology, because after May 2040, two things are not going to be happening. One of them, you're not going to have an electrical grid that's functioning anymore. Two, there's not going to be any wind, because after May of 2040, we're going to have another vapor canopy. This is a vapor canopy cycle. We're going to have a vapor canopy form. And this is what makes sense of the prophecies in the book of Revelation. So in a vapor canopy environment where the mesosphere has taken so much volcanic pumice and ash and particulates from volcanoes, submarine volcanoes, and surface volcanoes at the same time as massive layers of red dust particulates fill the mesosphere from the Phoenix phenomenon. You guys know what I'm talking about, Archaix veterans. We've documented so many historical events of the red dust fallout. It's not dust from the Sahara. That's what the news tells you. The Phoenix phenomenon is always red dust fallout from the sky. So it's not going to have wind. The mesosphere is going to build another vapor canopy. The vapor canopy increases atmospheric pressure. Now humans will be living under the ultraviolet canopy. The sun's not going to hardly even be seen anymore. The world's going to be, it's going to cloud over, but it's going to be a post-apocalyptic type vapor canopy. It's not going to be one where the stars can be seen at night and the moon. It's not going to clear. The particulates have to be removed, but the water stays in the mesosphere in order for that to be a lensing effect like we had in the antediluvian pre-flood world. We don't have that. It's not going to happen this time. So this time, They get us relying on wind turbines. But the wind turbines aren't going to be effective. And under a vapor canopy world, there is no wind. Remember, Genesis even said there was no rain because the vapor canopy watered the world every morning and every morning and every evening like a thick dew. So they're also going to get us relying on electrical vehicles. Electrical vehicles, because after May of 2040, no electrical vehicles are going to work. There's nowhere to charge them. It's just not going to work. Also, they're going to get us relying on solar farms. Man, if you've traveled like I have all over the western United States, you will see so many solar farms. I've traveled by jet, and I have seen all these solar. Man, they cover like so many square miles. I can't calculate it, but there are areas of the United States that are just nothing but solar farms. These solar farms will be inoperable. All it takes is one hailstorm to knock the whole solar farm out anyway. So the destruction, the earthquakes, and the gravel fallout from the sky of the Phoenix phenomenon in May it's gonna destroy all that anyway. But they get us relying on it. The electrical power infrastructure grid, it's going to go offline with the earthquakes and the tsunamis. It's offline. All these things we rely on completely offline. But the one thing they demonize is what they're going to have preserved for themselves in the underworld, and that is gasoline and oil fuels. Because these underground facilities have refineries, they're able to make gas from oil. They're able to in the underworld. They're able to harvest natural gases, and all the oil's down there. It's unlimited supply, just like fresh sweet water, unlimited supply down there. So all these things are a setup. They're all a setup. Wind turbines, solar farms, electric cars, and electric power grid is all a setup. While they're going to go down there and they're going to take those generators, because those gas generators and those nuclear generators are going to be giving them their power source. And another thing that they would do is they're going to introduce something into the human genome on the surface. I think they did that through the vaccination programs. They're going to introduce something that probably doesn't even trigger until there is some type of major atmospheric change. A change in environment always affects humans to the genetic level, especially at conception. As soon as a human is conceived, its genetic blueprint is designed optimally for whatever environment that human is born in. So if a human is born in a vapor canopy environment at conception, if the seed is conceived in the egg during vapor canopy conditions, then the genetic plan for that person's avatar is going to be unique to vapor canopy conditions. After the vapor canopy collapsed, people weren't titans no more. Now they were giants. So the giants had sons and daughters, but they were being born after the cataclysm. The vapor canopy had collapsed after the day the sky fell. Conditions were different. Now the burning disk was in the sky. Now there was less oxygen to breathe. Animals and plants were getting smaller and smaller, and so were humans. They completely changed. Same thing applies. So whatever was put into the blood of the human family probably isn't even going to have its greatest effect until May of 2040, when the vapor canopy returns. This is just a theory. It's just an idea. Let's see. So we have covered all these right here. So we need to go to a whole new file. We have to cover something completely different. If all of these things are happening today and they're no longer theoretical, then is it possible they've all happened before? I know many of you already know what I'm talking about. Could underground facilities have been made in ancient times for the exact same purpose? Is technology actually part of the cyclical nature of the construct? Because I'm going to show you right now that here in Archaix, we have gone through all kinds of evidence that technology is ancient. There are many people who want to criticize these reliefs as not being those of machines, although they're right next to other reliefs that are anatomically perfect fish and wasps and bees. And some of these have been heavily damaged. Somebody came in here and chiseled things around so you couldn't see what they actually were. But yeah, this was underneath the plaster because the hieroglyphics were on the plaster. This was underneath the plaster at Abydos in the Assyrian. Evidence of technology is the Great Pyramid, one of the greatest engineering marvels in the world. We can't even build the Great Pyramid today. It is highly technolithic, amazingly precise. This is inside the Grand Gallery of the Great Pyramid. This was a mechanism that went up and down the Grand Gallery. Here are the niches. A mechanism went up and down this Grand Gallery, probably creating pressure. Grand Gallery. Here's a part of the Grand Gallery. This is technolithic. Not only does it have a machine function, but it required machines to make it. This is the Great Pyramid in Egypt. Great Pyramid in Egypt. Most people don't even have a clue. There's the track on the Grand Gallery. You can clearly see the track. The Grand Gallery has the heaviest stones at the King's Chamber. These stones are immensely heavy. Can you imagine trying to lift a 70-ton stone? This is solid stone, but it's absolutely perfectly cylindrical at pi, 3.14. We don't know how they did it. It was machined. Much of the anomalies of South America are all solved when you realize they were machining. They had machine technology. Great Pyramid again. Great Pyramid again. Gigantic block at Baalbek. Here's Great Pyramid. Grand Gallery of the Great Pyramid. You can't miss the wheel, not the wheel, but the ruts here. Here you can see them real good here. The track. This is the bottom of the Grand Gallery showing how it was. This is all machine. Look at this. This is a mold. Now, I have a couple videos, here in Archaix where I'm explaining the mysteries. You got all these people talking about how mysterious all these objects are in South America and all that. They're not. They're not. This is not the piece that they were going for. This is what they left behind. This is not what was excavated in situ. This is what they left behind. They removed stone, and when they did, this is what they didn't need. This was the discard. I'm going to show you a bunch more examples. Here's advanced trigonometry in a 4,000-year-old disc. Great Pyramid, Technolithic. Great Pyramid, 2.5 million blocks. Here's Christopher Dunn and Brian Forster looking at the absolute tolerances of the stone, showing it was machined. Machined rock. Nobody builds a staircase upside down. What you're looking at was some type of very advanced fracture quarrying that allowed them to remove in situ the staircase that they wanted to take somewhere else. So what was left was an upside down staircase. They quarried a staircase out of living rock in one piece. What type of technology they had was far more advanced than what we have. All this right here, this isn't a sculpture. These are the molds left behind from what was quarried out. Absolute awesome technology in the ancient world that machined all this together. Hypersonic boring. Look at that. Machines built all this. A machine technology that we just do not understand. What you're looking at is not a piece of art. What you're looking at is what was left behind from the precision mold that was fracture quarried off of living rock. We don't know where they took all this material, but they built things with stone out of living rock and left behind the molds. If you were to put this in a computer program and reverse the light on it like a photo negative, you would see the general shape of the object they removed. Same here. This isn't a portal or a window that goes anywhere. This whole slab of precision at this angle with this framed indentation was fracture quarried off in situ. Immense amount of weight was just taken and completely separated from the living rock. We don't know what kind of technology. This is almost like 3D printing, but they're printing out the very material that was already there. They're just separating it. What the hell kind of technology did they have? You're looking at not what was removed, but what was left behind. I'm just showing these as an example. These are just examples of the sophistication. What kind of machine part needed a stone mold that was shaped like this? They fracture quarried this off, and this is what was left. Meaning, whatever its function is, it's highly specific. Look, nobody just sits around and builds these things like this and wastes all that prodigious amount of effort. Nobody makes a staircase that goes nowhere. None of this. This is why all of this stuff is misunderstood. During the Technolithic period from 3439 BC to 1687 BC, the Ogaigian deluge, which collapsed every single dynasty of the old world, there was a technology extant that allowed them to fracture quarry straight out of living rock, whatever patterns that they programmed into a machine. And that machine took that stuff right off that living rock. What you're looking at was what was left behind, not what was sculpted. Same thing here. Now, this might have been some type of electrical discharge apparatus that was set in the stone in order for them to fracture quarry all this other stuff off a staircase. These are molds. Look at these folded stones. Machines were able to fold a stone right here. Good book by Brian Forster. A lot of pictures. Here's a great pyramid again. Technolithic. Crystal skull. Again, this thing was machined. No human made this crystal skull. This was machined. Evidence of that is the fact that the jaw moves, but crystal has no yield, so there's no way to bend the jaw out to fit it over the jaw ports in order to put it in place on the hinges. There's no way to do it. So how did they take two independent pieces of crystal that are not even attached to each other and fit them together? You can't do it unless you machined it. Unless that crystal was manufactured by a machine. It is synthetic crystal. Again, this is a mold. Something was removed here that had value. That's what's left behind. Again, right here, they used a machine to remove what they needed, these precision steps. This is what was left behind. This is a terracotta piping that goes for miles in Mexico, found underground. Here it is, a 2,000-year-old Greek computer called the Antikythera computer. I'm just showing you these to show you that, look, building underground facilities requires technology. Well, here's the technology. We had the technology. So I'm going to show you here in a second the actual underground facilities that were made in ancient times. Here's a battery from ancient times called the Baghdad battery. The principles of flight were unknown, were absolutely known in the ancient world. This is over 2,200 years. Elephant pipe, just in the O part. Elephants in the old world, in the Americas. We don't even know what these are for. These are just unusual. Fossilized technology, there's a lot of things that have been found in fossil form that don't make sense. This right here had an engineering function. It was a machine that created it. Again, this is famous right here. People have always perplexed on what this formation is in South America. But the reason is because nobody scanned it and put it into a computer model and then turned it upside down and then looked at the photo negative of it to see what exactly they removed. What did they excavate here that left that? Yeah, these little boogers here, this is all evidence of machining. Yeah, Puma Punka, machined rock. Machined rock. Yeah, our world is not what you think, guys. The ancients didn't build all these things. This is machined rock. Machines put all this together. You can't, this is stone. These are stone. Hundreds of these have been found at Puma Punka. But these weren't the object. These are the discards. This is what was left behind after something was fracture quarried off. Look at this. Look how precise this is. That was machined. Or it's a mold for a machine part. Grand Gallery cross section. This is the antechamber in the Great Pyramid. It is extremely technolithic. It's all machined. Nobody with copper chisels wearing sandals and in a cotton blouse made anything like this. This is machined. More machined rock. Antikythera computer. Look how beautiful that was. It's even possible that this stone bust was machined. 14th century BC. Girl was a looker. All machined. I have a short video presentation on the 600. I theorize that the Great Pyramid could have been made in a short period of time with just 600 people using machines. We already saw that one. Some of these are repeats. Some of them are not. It's all machined rock. Look at that. Look at that, a perfect square. They're trying to figure out how it's possible. Machined parts. There's that unusual deal. That looks like they fracture quarried a machine part out. A mold, excuse me, they quarried out a stone mold that's used elsewhere for metal parts. Elbows. Every plumber knows what these are. These are elbows. Plumbers and electricians. You know what an elbow is. Oh, there's the actual picture of what you saw as an illustration. Machined. All that's machined out. Look at that. A machine cut that boulder in half perfectly. These look like machines. I know a lot of people say they're light bulbs. Anti-Cythera computer under X-ray. Look at that. What? Y'all just showing off. Yeah, look at that. 22-ton stone, the stone of the fifth sun. Toltec prophecy. That's what's hidden inside the blocks of the Great Pyramid. This is the gate of Rostal. Or, from occult sources, this is the gate of Ishakak. The hidden door. The Amen. Machined. Come on, guys. You can't deny that. That is machined stone. This is always trouble. This is the piano. This is called the piano. It's always mystified people. But you got to upload this shape into a computer, a three-dimensional picture, and then look at its photo negative to see what the actual shape is of what they removed. This is what was left behind. Anti-Cythera computer, perfectly made machined blocks. Fossilized hammer, Glen Rose, Texas. Yeah. There's the original entrance to the Great Pyramid. This is what they hide right here. Ancient world. Look, we don't even know what this is. That is a metal machine part from thousands and thousands of years ago. Anti-Cythera computer. Look how perfect that is. That's the descending passage, and that's the ascending passage. This is the passage axis conjunct right here to the Great Pyramid. Absolutely precise. That's the internal arrangements of the Great Pyramid. Great Pyramid's a machine. Baalbek. Machined. All this is machined blocks. Inside the Great Pyramid, the Queen's Chamber. Another sphere. This is evidence. This is evidence of rifles. I've seen a bunch of these, not just this skull. But they can tell that the missile that went through the skull was going at such velocity, it was just like a bullet. It wouldn't have been a sling stone or an arrow. Those create different striations. There's the secret hidden entrance to the Great Pyramid. They concreted over it. It's underneath those chevrons. Anti-Cythera computer. That's it for that. So, was the technology in the ancient world right there? I just showed it to you. So, with that type of technology in the ancient world, we should not be surprised at all to find that research has been conducted by scientists that have shown, such as William Cordes cites, that geopolymers Geopolymers were used to build the Great Pyramid. Geopolymers were used in even the adhesive that sticks together at 1/50th of an inch thick. Machines built the Great Pyramid of Egypt. And they did so with synthetic stone. All these articles, synthetic stone. This is an article right here by researchers showing that the Great Pyramid blocks were poured. They were poured. They've done analysis on the magnetite and come to find out that the magnetite is in disarray, which means that limestone had to be liquefied, reheated, which mixed up the magnetite, showing the magnetite, and then cooled artificially so fast that the magnetite crystals couldn't align to magnetic north fast enough. They're all in disarray. It means that the blocks are synthetic. It's real limestone, but other things like powdered beryl and other things were added to it in some type of weird way. So we know that tunnels have been found all over South America. David Hatcher Childress has some pretty interesting things about those tunnel systems, but tunnel systems have been found that humans were using thousands of years ago. And a lot of times the tunnels have been capped off by the government. They don't want people to go in there and check them out. But we have it on good authority from explorers that these tunnels go for hundreds of miles in all directions underneath South American continent. Inexplicable, unknown, ancient tunnels. Where have we seen these before? Where have we seen these before? Here it is in 1935 that it's reported that a subway tunnels are found below the pyramids in Egypt. For those of you who don't know, there was excavations going on in secret in 1926 to up to World War II. And the excavations were showing all kinds of underground sublevels below the Great Pyramid complex. And a lot of that was never even revealed to the public. It was leaked out later. It came out in books in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And a lot of research was done on the Sphinx and underneath the Sphinx during this period of time, starting in 1926. But underground galleries of rock, like a subterranean city underneath the Great Pyramid. Now, the new discoveries about the Great Pyramid, talking about giant cylinders that go down kilometers, I'm calling bullshit on all that. But the fact that there's galleries of rock under it, Herodotus told us there was. Strabo told us there was. Ammianus Marcellinus told us that there was galleries of rock and hundreds of chambers underneath the Great Pyramid. So I'm on board with that. It's not even a mystery to me. David Hatcher Childress, one of his books, The Jungles of Bolivia, Lost Cities, Tunnels, and the Death Train. Here's the book here. So there's no way I can show you in one video presentation all the evidence. I just can't do it. So here are many of the books that show all the underground cities, underground communities, and mysterious underground tunnels and sophisticated technological artifacts that have been found all over the world. Many of these books are packed with these details. You can find them yourself, especially David Hatcher Childress. He's got some really good stuff on that. Hans Bellamy, Harold T. Wilkins. Here's just some of the books. These books have some good stuff too. Real good stuff. I'm just doing it to show you that the amount of information, it's not a mystery. The amount of information of ancient underground facilities and tunnels are everywhere. It's in the public domain. It's not something that's secret. It's not esoteric. It's not conspiracy theory at all. These are all in my library. These are actual photos I did this morning from my library. These books are packed full of all kinds of evidence of breakaway civilizations in our underworld, of the kingdom of Agartha, underneath Mount Shasta and the Himalayas, and just it's really intriguing. I think it's the last one. That's the last stack. Oh, no, there it is. Some really good books. Of course, you got YouTube videos out of some of these, like We Are Not the First and Survivors of the Flood I just showed you. You'll have more. Oh, I lied. Here's more right here. So many good books. Damn, how many pictures did I take? I did 2 videos on the James Churchward, Lost Continent of Mu, Children of Mu. A secret tunnel city hidden under Rome's ancient heart is being revealed. Archaeologists discovered an underground Inca labyrinth, confirming a centuries-old rumor. Like I said, these are in the public domain. Secret underground passageways discovered in ruins of 4,300-year-old city in China. What? 4,300 years. That's the exact dating for the collapse of the Dragon King dynasties of China. Why? Because of the Great Flood. That's Chinese tradition and Chinese dating 43 centuries ago. Ancient superhighways. 12,000-year-old massive underground tunnels stretch from Scotland to Turkey. Now, you guys already know in Archaix, I'm calling BS on that 12,000-year crap. I don't find any evidence of these tunnels being near that old at all. Just like the same BS about Göbekli Tepe being intentionally buried and that it's 12,000, 10,000 years old. It's all BS. They have no business dating things that far back. So here's just a general overview right here of the amazing amount of material of underground tunnels and underground chambers found all over the world. Look, it's a lot. Look at this. It's a lot. You can do your own research. I'm just using these for an example to prove my point that this is all public domain information. There's nothing. Look at this old picture. There's just nothing mysterious about this stuff. So we're building underground facilities today, but we did so in ancient times as well. How many of you have heard of Derinkuyu? Look at this. Underneath Turkey, 59 underground cities have already been found. And guess what? They're connected together by underground tunnels. In Turkey, used to be called Phrygia. An ancient Phrygian legend says that before the flood, a king Anunnaki knew that the world was going to be destroyed, and he wanted to protect his people, so he took his people underground. I'm not making this up. Jason's not making this up. This is a Phrygian legend. Here's Derinkuyu, right here in Turkey, an underground facility where a lot of people would have rode out a cataclysm. Here it is again. What technology carved all this out of solid rock? Derinkuyu, ancient underground city in Turkey. Look at that massive donut stone. That was designed to roll to block this door. Here's the Hypogeum on Malta. It looks just like Derinkuyu. Here's Derinkuyu again. A lot of people could have survived easily here. They're very protected down there. They had an underwater source. Look, all this is underwater down here. When you look at this, you're reminded of the Hopi, the Navajo, who told us about the ant people. Originally, humans came out of the ground. This is Native American traditions. This is why they built the kivas. And at the bottom of the kiva was a plug. The plug was there to keep the primordial waters back in place. But in ancient times, somebody had removed the plug and the world got flooded. But the plug was down there from the ancestors. And the kiva was specifically designed in memory of coming up from the underworld. The exact same reason Göbekli Tepe and all the Tepe sites also look just like kivas, because they came from the underworld too. Where? Derinkuyu. This is where they rode out the cataclysm. Göbekli Tepe and the Huyuk sites are where they grew and populated as they left the underground civilizations. That's Cappadocia in Turkey, underground cities of Turkey. So we already know Archaix was told the flood was coming. Noah was told the flood was coming. Enki became the trickster. He became Loki because the other gods shamed him, because he told humans what was coming so they could prepare. Most of those humans that he told, though, the Anunna, the sophisticated civilization of the pre-flood world, went underground. That's what King Archaix is. Anunnaki is Anunna. They went underground, but many humans survive in fleets of arcs. And for this reason, Enoch was demonized. He was demonized by the other Anunna because he told ordinary humans what was going to happen. He was a benefactor. All underground in Turkey. Bokika, Cox, they were all warned that the flood was going to come. Viracocha was told of the prophecy of the sun. The sun was going to darken, the world was going to be destroyed, the coming of the sun. In every instance, the cataclysm hero was told. And remember, the Native Americans say they came up from the ground. Many of them say the ancestors came from the Holy Hill. Well, that's really interesting because the Watchers descended from Mount Ardon. The original Anunnaki descended a mountain. They did not descend from the sky. That's ancient alien psyop propaganda. What I'm telling you is that they came from the divine mountain. The oldest traditions in the world. This is where they came from, the divine mountain. Matter of fact, we even have it here. You remember this book? Lost Survivors of the Deluge? An excellent, fantastic. I did an entire video presentation on this. One thing had nothing to do with the other. Originally, gods did not come down from heaven, but from the mountains, just as the deluge tradition of India tells us. That is what is known as the descent of Manu from the mountain of the north. The Watchers did not descend from heaven. They didn't descend from the sky. They descended Mount Artus. A long time ago, from the three openings of these hills emerged Manco Capac, his three brothers and their four sisters. At the time, Manco Capac was still known as A.R. Manco. This is talking about when they came out of the divine mountain. This is the ancestors of the Inca. We know that these gods were men. They were members of a superior and advanced civilization, set back by a cosmic catastrophe without precedent in the human memory, forced to face a Stone Age struggle for life. They did have their skills and powers and were able to demonstrate their superiority, but there were too few of them to be able to create a new culture, a new civilization for mankind. Within the void, they were forced to face. The gods came homeless into our world. They permitted our ancestors to participate in their culture and civilization. Then, once they had left their gifts with us, they left this world, as do all men. But we remain their heirs. As do all men means they left this world by dying, just like we do. But we remain their heirs. It's because we know these things happened because we're here today. We survived. We are the descendants of those who survived past cataclysms, whether they survived in arcs on the surface or whether they survived as a breakaway society, preserving technology, history, libraries, and culture in underground facilities that remained untouched from the cataclysm. Mother Shipton was very, very specific. Mother Shipton specifically stated that 1 century after the Second World War, the sky dragons would return, and back to back, they would create a situation where the new dynasty of mankind would be built on ocean beds. And the rest of the world that man knew, all the cities would be flooded out. In the new dry land were all the ocean beds, a total reversal. Remember, I told you guys, the Phoenix phenomenon always causes situations just like the movie in 1998, Dark City, shows you plainly. The sky is a lie. It simulates pole shifts. The real movement is subsidence and upheaval. Areas go up, areas go down, sky moves, and you think you moved. You think there was a pole shift, but you haven't moved at all. You haven't moved at all. So we have to ask ourselves, if the ancients built cities because they were warned and they knew that the cataclysm was coming, and they survived that cataclysm, and they indeed had technology, and we have found residual pieces of that technology and the evidence of that technology, and every element of what's happening today also happened in the ancient world, then we're not dealing with something that is singular. We're not dealing with a situation that's only happening today. We are dealing with something that is cyclical. Therefore, do we have evidence that this is a cycle that has been experienced by us, and that we learned in ancient times what we now know today to be true? And we're creating a breakaway civilization in the underworld in order to survive something we have survived many times before. I'm going to have to say yes. It's right here on this chart. This is the chronology of the Phoenix phenomenon documented. It is 552-year periods. I have got multiple videos, over 80 videos, that demonstrate this chronology over and over and over. And what's crazy about it is 2040 isn't even the real bad one. It's the sixth seal of the apocalypse. It is the pole shift described by Nostradamus for the month of May in 2040. It is the sixth sky dragon of Mother Shipton. It is the Ragnarok of the Vikings. It is the rain of fire and gravel when Fenrir eats the moon and the Midgard serpent swallows the sun. It's all here in 2040. It's going to be bad, but it's still going to be a very high survival rate. But Mother Shipton was very specific that 2 sky dragons will come back to back. So 2046 is on the table too. So the elite, or whoever these people are, the breakaway civilization in our underworld, they're going to stay there until after the fallout of 2046. They would be a damn fool to come up in 2046 when it's over. They would be a fool to come up in 2047 or even 2048. In a breakaway civilization would do best to come up around 2049 or 2050, because by then a lot of the violence and chaos is over with. After the cataclysms, things have now assumed a bit of normalcy, and after 2 cataclysms back to back, people will be living in Neolithic villages. And Mother Shipton says that after a short period, when the second sky dragon is gone, mankind will be building their new dynasties on former ocean beds. She said this. She said this over 500 years ago. And she also said, and then men of such unknown will exit their mountain strongholds and go out among the world to see who survived and count the souls that still live out there, and then teach their fellow men how to live and how to build communities and survival. She paints the picture that the humans that emerge from the mountains are just like the Anunnaki who emerged in 3439 BC with Enki when they appeared among the ancient Sumerians and were regarded as gods and benefactors who gave us clothes and foods and stories and a home after we were destroyed in the Gihon flood reset. So I'm going to ask the original 10 questions again. Right now. If I can find a way to get back on screen. Excuse me. So, after seeing all this entire presentation and laying out all these facts that you can go verify yourself, one, did we have the engineering capabilities 4,300 years ago to go underground? Two, did we have a reason to go underground 4,300 years ago? Remember, Noah was warned what was coming. The Chinese Dragon Kings were warned. Atrahasis was warned in the Atrahasis epic. Utnapishtim was warned in the Epic of Gilgamesh what was coming. King Anakos knew what was coming and built underground facilities to save his people in Phrygia, ancient Turkey, where 59 underground cities have been discovered. So, did we have a reason to go underground 4,300 years ago? 3, do we have evidence that we actually went underground 4,300 years ago? 4, do we have evidence that such an event was anticipated 4,300 years ago? 5, does this event fit within any historically documented cycle? 6, do we have the engineering capabilities to go underground today? 7, is there evidence that we are building underground facilities? 8, are we today fast approaching one of these cyclical events? 9, do the builders have exit strategies in place to safely and quietly remove the Breakaway Society from the surface to their underground facilities? Remember the purpose of the Patriot Pacification Program. 11, is there evidence that the builders are maintaining socio-political programs for those on the surface that ensure that the builders will return to a weakened, debilitated post-cataclysm population when they emerge from their underground facilities? Vaccination programs, reliance on solar technology, reliance on electrical vehicles, reliance on wind turbines. None of those will work in a vapor canopy environment. So you tell me, as I close this presentation, you tell me, did I make the case? Was it a close approximate? The Phoenix returns in less than 15 years. That's where we're at. Now, I will hit my errant ad and then my outro. But remember, you got 5 days to join Cypher, and after that, don't even email me about it. My loyalty is going to be in favor only of those community members, because that's why they're there. And we're going to be doing things that we've been designing for a good while now. So there's 5 days at the end of the month, the door's shut, and I won't mention it no more. Then we have Reawaken the Immortal Within. If you're interested in reading the book, the PDF version is in the description box, the link. So is the new Archaix for Kids Children's Nursery Rhymes and Stories. It's over 1,000 pages, just like Chronicon is way over 1,000 pages. Oh, the Chronicon download is 1,055 pages plus almost 400 charts, chronological charts to help you understand everything. The unfolding of historical events, cycles and epicycles, Nemesis X, Phoenix, Dark Satellite, all that. Mayan long count. Also, all the links are in the description box for the errant ad, Pantera. Let's see what he has to say. And I'm checking out. I love you guys. But this is 2 hours and 40 minutes. I hit my limit. It's time for me to eat. Let's see, let me find this video.
Hello, Archaix community. My name is Kenneth Scott, and I'm here today to invite you to have a look at the Pantera Vita Private Society. We are a private jurisdiction and an established sovereign body politic for well over 20 years, with advanced education, comprehensive answers, and real solutions. In short, we have cracked the code of the matrix, the legal and monetary and esoteric systems that bind and control all of us from birth until death. Our solutions are tried and true. We have blazed the trail for others to follow, with the most comprehensive education and practical steps available anywhere today. We are looking for others with the will and passion to walk out of the matrix and walk into life, for those who are ready to join us in applying these solutions to their lives. Are you a creator being and an unstoppable force of creation? If so, come join others who have walked this path, who are ready to support and guide you in this great work. We look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much.
We all know it's coming. The restlessness, the chaos, the world a circus of 1,000 shows, each vying for our attention. The unease we feel is because we have been here before. We have experienced this baffling, ridiculous scenario of everything making no sense at all. These are the death throes of an age. This is not the first world we've lost. When a world is on the cusp of dying, those who know they are to drown with it struggle desperately to drag as many souls with them into the coming abyss. It is during these instabilities that the awakened souls realize they have outgrown their contemporaries. The students have ascended their masters. And the truly alive will see that the death of a world only means the birth of another. Who you choose to be during this transition will echo all the way into the next world. The apocalypse has always been about removing the veil between worlds so we can pass on through it.